Welcome to the Conceive, Believe, and Achieve podcast, where we delve into the minds of elite athletes and coaches to uncover their secrets behind their success. I'm your host, Sean Garris, former university wrestling coach, D1 wrestler, national champion, Olympic trials medalist, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a three-time world team coach in grappling, and author. Join me as we explore the realms of training, mindset, goal setting, overcoming adversity, and various coaching methodologies in the world of sports. Get ready to be inspired and motivated as we learn from the best in the game on our journey to achieving greatness. Hey wrestlers, ready to show your passion for wrestling and style? Introducing the Let's Wrestle apparel designed for champions like you. Whether you're on the mat or in the gym or out with friends, Let's Wrestle apparel is made for comfort, durability, and making a statement. Their high-quality, breathable fabric keeps you cool and focused no matter how intense life gets. With bold designs and a perfect fit, Let's Wrestle apparel is more than just clothing. They're a badge of honor for dedicated athletes. Available in a variety of sizes and colors, there is clothing in the Let's Wrestle apparel collection for every wrestling warrior. Don't just wrestle, wrestle in style. Visit their website at www.letswrestle.ca to browse their collection and order yours today. Join the movement and let the world know you're ready to rumble with Let's Wrestle apparel. Well, I mean, COVID did a lot to us, and I think that was, it did slow everybody down in just about any aspect of their life because the shutdowns. I talked with an athlete yesterday about how it affected their training, how it affected their academics as well. How did it affect your training?
Well, honestly, it affected my competing. My training, thankfully, I have two sisters that are also, elite athletes. So we actually built a gym in our basement. We lived in a basement. We had a squat rack in our living room and then a squat rack outside. And then we would go to our parents' house, and a friend by there had mats. So then we would go to the mats, and those were the only people that we would interact with, like to train. And then that was it. That was all we did for the whole COVID everything. We just trained with each other. It was awesome.
Yeah, bubble training, right? That's what we were forced to do. Great that you had sisters to beat on you and you to beat on them.
Yeah.
That was my upbringing when I was a kid. I had an older brother that wrestled, and that's why I got into it. So very similar to your story. And then my older brother would beat the crap out of me. He actually became an MMA fighter, not to the extent of your sister, but yeah, he got up there and started doing that. Then I had a knee injury, and he got out of that. When I was searching for Olympians and stuff like that on Instagram, trying to get contact information, I ran into your bio and I think maybe your sister's. I'm not sure, but in your Instagram, and I'm not sure if it's you or your sister that I saw it on, but a lot of weight training. Okay, was that yours?
Yeah.
I wanted to say, man, I was impressed. I was watching because that's what I do now. I love power cleans. I love hang cleans. After I retired from the sport, I had to find something to get into. I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I also wanted to lift. And you talked already a little bit about the lifting and how it played an integral part of your career. Without it, you said you were below some of your competitors. Do you hate training with weights, or do you look forward to it?
I love lifting. I feel like I love learning like new sports or like anything new. So when I started learning how to lift, I loved it. Honestly, I would spend like 3 hours at the gym just like learning how to power clean. And this is why I'm so good at it now. And at the time I was like, well, if I don't like wrestling, like I can do lifting, because I was just like, I just loved it. So that's the other thing I was doing during COVID. I was lifting a lot more. I actually did provincials, I think it was, or like the nationals, I don't know, online. It was like COVID, but I did it online and I think I got second. So that was really good. I did like the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and who got you into the strength training?
Just My sisters and I just started lifting back then when we needed to get strong, and then just like watching videos and yeah.
Yeah, you know what so there's with progression with my weightlifting, it was, reading these magazines, it was called Muscle and Fitness at the time with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you read these, routines and you try to implement them in the gym, you try to do that, and you find out that, oh, well, wait a second, Arnold did some drugs back then.
Yeah,
It's not the same, you're not going to get the same results, but we thought we
yeah,
would.
yeah.
But as you progressed, I guess like it's a fantastic learning experience.
Oh yeah.
You've got some great trainers that are on there now, so you're not going to be led astray through some of that.
Yes.
Were there any favorite trainers that you were watching when you were doing that?
There is this one. I don't know why I forget his name every time, but he's a gold medalist. I think for USA. He's a weightlifter. I forget his name, but he's very good, and he posts some like technique videos. And then I used to watch this one Chinese lifter all the time. Um, and I feel like I follow all of them, and they still come up on my Instagram. But also just searching up videos, and like I'm a pretty good like visual learner as well. So just like I would take videos of myself, and I still do, and look at my technique and like compare it. And it's also dependent on like the body types, right? So like watching girls that have a similar body type as me, and coaching, like me helping my sisters improve their lifting, or even like wrestling for anything. I feel like I get better at it as well. But I would tell you the names, but I'm really bad with names.
That's okay. What's your favorite exercise in the gym?
Power clean.
Power cleans. And why is that?
I don't know. I feel like it took a while for me to get really good at them. But I feel the most strong and explosive when I do those. And I also really enjoy pull-ups, like weighted pull-ups, like heavy pull-ups.
Okay, well, I was going to say I love power clean, just like you. I hate pull-ups.
Oh,
those are one things I do not like, and it's because I have a very weak grip. I don't know about you guys. I use the wraps. So what it's done, for anybody that's doing strength training, if you use wraps, you weaken your grip. And with wrestling, I think it's so much more important that you can't use wraps because you want to strengthen your grip. So you must have monster grips when you're coming in wrestling.
we actually, my strength coach now, his name is TJ. I don't know if you've seen him on our Instagram, but his name is TJ. His gym is Strong Side Conditioning in New West. His gym is full of like the wide grip, what's it called? The dumbbells. They're like all so big. And even like for our pull-ups and stuff, we do like big bars. So I feel like our grip has, the first time I went to his gym, my forearms were very sore for like a week. So I feel like our grip has improved since then. And I don't use the wraps unless I have to, like I jammed a finger or something in wrestling.
Yeah, well, I didn't learn that until late in life. I probably should have.
Too late.
Yeah, so no chin-ups for me. Good for you. And again, I remember wrestling a kid in actually at offset. His name is Wayne Weathers, and Wayne's a police officer now, I think, with the OPP. But he had this grip of strength that it was hard to even get your arms away. Like, do you have that when you're wrestling these? Do your opponents complain about how tough you're grabbing them?
No, actually, my fingers are short. I have like short fingers. I wouldn't say I have the best grip because my hands are so small. And usually the girls in my weight class have like bigger hands than me and longer fingers. My sister Carla, she has longer fingers. She has a way better grip than I do. Like, it's insane. So, and she's like smaller than me too. So it's annoying when I get to wrestle her and she's like just holding me because she's got way better grip than I do, but also bigger hands. So
yeah, I think that's it's one of the things that's overlooked in wrestling is grip strength. Not a lot of people will. I mean, you got to do a lot of hand fighting. How much hand fighting is actually I guess, paid attention to in your, with you? Do you do a lot of hand fighting in your?
Yeah, we do a lot of hand fighting. Our coach specifically focuses on making sure your setups are good. Um, so like even when you're starting your technique, like you're not just like standing there for someone to like do a takedown. You like hand fight into it no matter what. So I feel like we do a lot of hand fighting, even through technique, and then we usually do like some hand fighting goes to start the practice, like hard hand fighting, no takedowns.
Yeah, I think that's really overlooked in a lot of training rooms, especially high school and elementary school
Yes.
training rooms. It's something that I was exposed to more so when I went down to the U.S. I wrestled at Fresno City College, California, and then Eastern Michigan University. And I can tell you, when I started doing the hand fighting, my wrists, like you said, were getting destroyed, and you're kind of just complaining. Those were when you walked out of practice. Those were the things that were killing you, your forearms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. So, I watched a match of yours with Braxton Papadopoulos. And Braxton, at one point was dominating the scene. It looked like you had a pretty easy time with her.
That was my first time wrestling her and my first time winning nationals,
Ah,
or at the senior level. So the day before, I actually won the junior nationals. Actually, no one knew who I was coming into this tournament because I didn't have my citizenship before that. So I was just training with Frank for a long time. And then I went off to university. But I think that was the year I was like 2019. So I had already gone to university, worked with Raj Birdie. He was my first university coach at U of E, and then went um, to SFU like twice a week to train there. Showed up to this tournament. No one knew who I was except for the people on my team, obviously. I won junior nationals and then went to junior nationals, and I was like, I don't care who they are. I didn't even know. I didn't know who they were, honestly. None of the people I wrestled, I had no idea what they had done in wrestling or like their accomplishments, and honestly, I didn't care. Um, but that was like when I was like, I'm gonna win, and that's it. Like that was like my mindset, and I feel like you can tell in my matches, like I was just like go 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 go. Like I was pretty fit. I worked really hard for that tournament. I really wanted to win. Um, yeah, I don't know. That match was really fun. Like now, like thinking back on it, like everyone was like super shocked. Like this random girl just came and beat Braxton. We actually became friends after, a couple years after that. But um, yeah, I don't know. It was a good time.
yeah, I'm not even sure if she's still wrestling, but
No, she's not wrestling.
she's not. She used to train with one of the girls that I coached, Miyu Yamamoto, Japanese girl that actually she came to York, her and her sister, Seiko Yamamoto. Seiko was
Oh,
a four-time world champion in Japan, and Miyu was actually a three-time world champion from Japan. And they came over to train with us at York for a bit, and then ended up leaving. But they started training with she started training with Braxton. Seiko is now married to a professional pitcher, right? And baseball pitcher. I don't know what team, tell you the truth. Somewhere there in the major leagues, somewhere there. But yeah, tough kids and tough training partners. Tell me about your training partners and how they sharpened you in your wrestling room to make you to where you are now.
my training partners are made up of a lot of boys. um, so I train with a couple of high school boys. One is Liam. I mean, people won't know, but if they watch this, they'll know it's them. Liam, Quentin, um, the the two high school boys. Then I wrestle with a couple university guys that are a little bit smaller, or even bigger, but they just like they're just good at wrestling with anyone really, which is like Ryan, Randy, Marcus. Um, there's a lot more, but I forgot. Um, And then I wrestle with like Juice sometimes, even though she's a lot bigger than me, but we get to wrestle sometimes because I need to wrestle girls. And my sister, of course. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like everyone just like kind of rotates to like give me a different look. And then some people come in sometimes. There's Miki. She's come in a couple times. She's from Calgary. She's actually here at the tournament as well. She's wrestling 55. She's a really good training partner for me. So I really enjoy when she comes out, wrestles me.
So you said your sister's a training partner. My brother was one of my training partners. I'll tell you, I didn't like losing to him. What's it like
No.
to face your sister?
With my sister, it's different because she's a lot lighter than me. So even though she's got, I mean, she just tries to block me because her hand fighting is really good, and she knows like I just like I don't have the same hands with her. She's just like she's really like strong upper body, like she just keeps going forever. So it's different. Like we do more like play wrestling, and we do a lot of like our technique sessions we do together. She's actually going to be my partner for the Olympics, which is nice because she was my very first partner when we first started wrestling. So it's nice to have her there and as a family member as well, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, we definitely get competitive. Like if it's a hard practice, say I'm like not feeling good and she's beating up on me or something, we start getting mad at each other and it starts getting a little catty, I would say.
I love it.
And usually my coach can tell. He's like, okay, break, like take a break, go. And we're like,
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So your sister's going to be at the Olympic Games with you. That's awesome to hear. Who would have thought, back in the days when you were young kids fighting each other and your parents were probably pulling you apart, that it was still going to happen, but in a controlled manner.
yeah.
Talking about family, how is the support system? Because traditionally wrestling's not from my era, women wrestling, it didn't exist. When I was in high school, we didn't have, when we had girls that were saying, well, we were going to try it, but it never actually came to fruition until years later. What was the families, your mom, your dad, your sisters, what was their, when you got into wrestling, what was it like, why are you doing this? Is that what?
Yeah, honestly, as like an immigrant family, my dad's view of things is a little bit different. I mean, was a little bit different. Obviously, it has shifted a little bit, but his is like to work. Like you need to work. We've worked since. Well, I mean, we were in Mexico. He used to make us work, and I was 6 years old working, right? So, it was like if you're not getting paid to live, it's not a job, right? Like you need more money, you need to work, right? Or go to school, of course, right? He was like, you go to school and you work. That was it. Once we started wrestling, after Loopy decided she wanted to do MMA, it was like my mom's like, why are you doing this? Like she was so stressed because every time Loopy fought, my mom couldn't eat for a whole week. Like she's just so stressed that our sister was gonna get hurt, and now we're joining wrestling and like getting injured every other week. Just because we were so well, especially me. I was a meathead. I would call myself a meathead. Everyone called me a meathead. Uh, just like I would just like keep going no matter what. Like so it was kind of hard in the beginning. My dad's like, why are you doing this? I would come home. I broke my leg in university, like my second practice, broke my leg. Come back, broken knee or something, like just like every time you come back, scratches on your face. And they're like, why are you doing this? Like at that point, we didn't have any funding and we were just spending money to get hurt pretty much, right? And we at that point, like I was working and I was practicing and I was going to school. So it was a lot. But I did that because, our parents always taught us to like work for our money, right? Like we have to like take care of ourselves. And so it was really hard as a kid, but I'm glad I did it. And now they're very supportive. He loves to tell his friends and our family that like we're successful athletes and like we're on the news, or like here's a picture of my daughter in Hungary. Like it's just something like we would have never imagined, especially like living in Mexico, and like we didn't expect anything like this to happen. So it's huge. Like now there's huge support system. Luby's doing really well, in the UFC, so that really helps. And I feel like doing well in the sport has given us so many more opportunities than we would have if we hadn't done wrestling and like done well in wrestling. But even if we didn't do well in wrestling, I feel like we would all find a way to do well in life because of what our dad and mom have taught us. So I don't know. They're really good now. Everything's good now.
Mm-hmm. Good role models, hard workers.
Yeah, for sure. Hard work always.
Great.
I see my coach right now.
What's is he giving you the eye?
No, I didn't. He didn't come with us.
Oh, is this Dave or is it?
Yeah, it's Dave.
Okay, well, say hi to Dave. I don't know if he remembers me, but he would know my father, Harry Garris. But you know what? Talking about my dad, your story is very similar. My dad immigrated from the Netherlands, and when he got here, he was introduced to wrestling, and mom and dad weren't too keen on it because he was supposed to go out and work and support the family. They had eight siblings. So the only source of income that was coming in was from mom and dad. Well, more so dad. He was a carpenter, and mom was taking care of all the kids. And my dad was one of the oldest kids, and they said, "Well, you got to go out." So he ended up running away from home and hitchhiking down to the U.S. In hopes to get a scholarship. A little bit of a story there, but I will. At the end of this, I'll send you. I wrote a book on him. It's called "Buried with the Maple Leaf." So if you're interested,
you wrote a book on it.
What's that?
You wrote a book on him?
Yeah, I wrote a book on him, on him and his life and adventures in wrestling. So I'll send it to you.
I'll read it. I do like reading. Yeah.
Okay. The first couple chapters I will tell you is just kind of an introduction. The story goes on a little bit more after when he starts his career in wrestling and stuff like that. For me, I think the introduction is kind of boring, but as the story progresses, it's not really about wrestling. It's about the adventures to get through wrestling, which we just talked about with your adventures. And that's why I'm so interested, not just the technical aspect. We could be talking about what's your favorite move, what's your, this or that. And that's why I talk about family. I talk about other things because there's so much more that goes into your journey. We could talk about those hard, grueling, training things. We could talk about how mean your coach is or whatever, right? Or how he glares at you in the cafe for being on the internet, not training or running somewhere. No, it's the little things that I think people appreciate because you look to them, they look to you that you're on this world stage and you're accomplishing, these feats that they could never do. But, when we humanize yourself to people, they go, well, I can achieve the same things as her if I put the effort and attitude into it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you got one more time. We got a little more time, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I
wanted to ask you about. We talked about mindset. We talked about the weight training. I want to talk about your future in wrestling. Are you going to keep wrestling, or are you going to go and follow your footsteps of your sister, or get into coaching? Or what does it look like to you, or have you not even planned that far?
Honestly, a lot of people have asked me this, and I don't know because I feel like with wrestling, I've been to the point where I'm like, I'm done this. Like I lost, and I'm like so frustrated, and I'm done, right? And then I come back. So honestly, I don't know. My major goal was the Olympics, or is the Olympics. So I haven't really looked past then. I've gotten a couple, you know, um, coaching opportunities, um, and I could try MMA, which I had a little break after the qualifier. I did a little bit of boxing. I really liked it, and I love learning. So I didn't think I wouldn't like it, but yeah, I really liked learning the technical aspect of it, and I didn't realize how hard it was. um, yeah, so I mean, it's definitely an option. Or I talked to Dave about you know, trying the next world, or but after the Olympics, I'm definitely going to take a break. I've gone 7 years without stopping. My biggest break was after the qualifiers. I took, I think, 3 or 4 weeks off, completely off the wrestling part. I mean, I was training. I was more like MMA training, like helping my sister rather than like for myself. So that was my biggest break I've ever had. So I'll take a break off the mat, heal my body, because you know how it is. Um, yeah, I don't know. Anything is possible, honestly.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you are always up for a challenge. You looking for adversity at anywhere it is, and it doesn't seem like it seems like you are actually looking for those things, those challenges. I spoke to one of my wrestlers the other day in our wrestling room. She was like, kind of like, you know what? I don't want to wrestle. I'm like, listen, there's going to be challenges everywhere, regardless of the one in front of you. There's going to be challenges everywhere. So face the one in front of you first, and then
Yeah,
let's move to the next one. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. You're going to face the challenges in front of you, and then you move to this one. Who's
yeah.
this stupid guy asking me these questions? I'm just
No,
going to.
I just know how I am, and I know once I like something, I know I give it 100%, and I know I'll be successful at it. I feel like it's all mindset with everything. Like, you can be successful in anything you want to be successful in, and it can be in different ways. Like, it doesn't have to be winning, right? It can be in other ways. Like, I say, say you were really good at wrestling but didn't completely reach your own goal of winning the Olympics, winning the world or the nationals or whatever it was, but like that can take you somewhere else to be successful in wrestling in another aspect, like be a coach, or be some sort of other help for wrestling, and it could be really satisfying to you, and that could be like, I reached my goal. So, yeah.
Awesome. One last question. That young girl that's watching this currently right now, what is your message to her? She just started wrestling. What is your words to her?
Mm, I'd say to focus, don't focus on the winning, focus on the process. I think the process is very important. I think the process is the one that matters, no matter what happens in the end, pretty much. And I think it makes you a better person at the end, as long as you give it 100%.
That's awesome. Great to hear. Anna, I want to thank you for joining us here at Wrestling with Goals, the Conceive, Believe, and Achieve podcast. Folks, you got to support the sport. You got to share this episode with your friends. You got to subscribe to our channel. When you do that, you are actually promoting the sport, because we need to get this sport out and in front of people more and more, so people like Anna can get funding, because wrestling is not a well-funded sport currently. It never has been, even since my dad was at the Olympics. It's never been that way. We've got to boost our presence within not just the wrestling community, but outside. So share, share, share. Anna, if somebody wants to get a hold of you after watching this, how do we get a hold of you?
Instagram. I mean, I take a long time to reply. I'm sorry, but I'll get it. I'll get to you.
Perfect. And I'm sure you're going to have more Instagram followers when the Olympics hits. I want to wish you good luck. I'm sure luck doesn't even come into play. It is training, attitude, and effort, as we know. But we're going to be watching, and there's going to be a lot of people watching. You have fun out there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hey wrestlers, ready to show your passion for wrestling and style? Introducing the Let's Wrestle apparel designed for champions like you. Whether you're on the mat or in the gym or out with friends, Let's Wrestle apparel is made for comfort, durability, and making a statement. Their high quality, breathable fabric keeps you cool and focused no matter how intense life gets. With bold designs and a perfect fit, Let's Wrestle apparel is more than just clothing. They're a badge of honor for dedicated athletes. Available in a variety of sizes and colors, there is clothing in the Let's Wrestle apparel collection for every wrestling warrior. Don't just wrestle, wrestle in style. Visit their website at www.letswrestle.ca to browse their collection and order yours today. Join the movement and let the world know you're ready to rumble with Let's Wrestle apparel. Thank you for tuning into the Conceive, Believe, and Achieve podcast. I hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. Your support means the world to us, so don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a comment in the section below. Your feedback fuels our journey to bring you more valuable content and stories from the realm of sports. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, believing in yourself, and achieving greatness. Thank you for listening.